Thanks for inviting us in. It's now 11 o'clock. This case has captured international headlines. This is an outcome these girls' families have waited for since February of 2017. Richard Allen guilty today on all 4 counts. We have covered this story for you since the beginning. And we begin tonight with our Bob Siegel and Emily Longnecker. They've been inside the courtroom for all of these proceedings, bringing firsthand accounts of the biggest developments.
The jury was in and out of the courtroom very quickly today. Only 3 minutes were jurors actually in the courtroom. They passed their verdict form to Judge Gall, and she read the results. Guilty on all 4 counts against Richard Allen in the murders of Abby and Libby. So I can tell you that at the time that the verdict was read, Judge Gall requested that there not be any outbursts in the courtroom. So at first things were quite subtle. Richard Allen had very little reaction, very little emotion. At one point he turned back to look at his wife and mother and said, "Are you okay?" To my left, we saw the families of Abby and Libby clutching one another, hugging, again, very quietly, seeming to really savor the verdict that came back from the jury. And then as the judge and the jury left the courtroom, then we saw much more emotion. At one point, one of the investigators from Indiana State Police actually went up to prosecutor Nick McLeland and gave him a hug and a kiss. So there was certainly more emotion at that point, and some of that emotion than we saw outside the courthouse as well.
I mean, when the verdict was read, when we got news of the verdict, people outside cheering, holding up signs, justice for Abby and Libby, and then we saw family members coming out and embracing. And about an hour after the verdict was read, Becky Patty posted this little picture here of Libby when she's a little girl, and she's wearing a superhero's cape. And we've heard time and time again that police call Libby and Abby both heroes. Libby especially for rolling on that video of Bridge Guy, had the presence of mind, had the instinct to roll on that man as he was following Abby, and law enforcement has credited her for helping in this investigation, helping solve her own murder. We know that she often said when she wanted to grow up, she wanted to help police solve crimes. They have said that she did that, and she took Abby along with her. So not everyone happy. Kathy Allen coming out of the courthouse today and saying that this is not over at all, and we know that it is certainly not, right? Richard Allen is going to be sentenced on December 20th, but after that, we expect an appeal. Yes,
we do expect an appeal, and that appeal can be filed within 30 days after sentencing takes place. So that's it tonight from Delphi, and we will, of course, follow any new developments as they happen here over the coming weeks and months. Back to you.
All right, Bob and Emily, thanks so much. So now that Richard Allen has been found guilty on these murder charges, what's next in this case? Chase Howell joins me in studio tonight after talking with our legal expert. Chase?
Yeah, Scott, as you just heard from Bob and Emily, Allen is expected to be sentenced on December 20th. And then after that is when we could see his lawyers appeal his case. While family of Abby Williams and Libby German left the courthouse to go home, Richard Allen left in handcuffs to go back to his jail cell. This comes after jurors delivered a guilty verdict on all 4 murder charges in the deaths of those 2 little girls. And now, 13 News' Katie Jackson-Lindsay says the courts are working to determine how much time Allen will spend in prison ahead of his December 20th sentencing.
The probation department goes out and starts gathering information that they will use to put into the format of a report that the judge can use to consider the appropriate sentence. So that means they will interview Richard Allen, they will interview the victims of the family members of the victims, they will go and review Richard Allen's criminal history if he has any, his background in terms of his family background, his educational background, if he has any prior drug use, and all of those things. And they'll put together a report that will also include an assessment of Richard Allen's likelihood to reoffend.
After he's sentenced, Jackson-Lindsay says Allen has 30 days to appeal the verdict and his sentence. Jackson-Lindsay says it's basically his lawyer saying to the higher court that the lower court made mistakes before and during Allen's trial. She believes the defense will outline a couple key points, one of them being that the judge ruled the defense couldn't introduce alternative suspects in the case, and 2, that there wasn't enough evidence to convict Allen.
At that point, the clock starts ticking for the trial court, the clerk of the trial court, specifically the court reporter, to prepare transcripts from the trial. So every single piece of evidence that we have heard, every single moment of testimony that we have heard will be reduced to a transcript. And all of those exhibits will be attached to that as well.
After the defense files their reasons to appeal, the state will have an opportunity to respond. And if the higher court sides with the defense, there will be a new trial. Reporting, Chase Howell, 13 News.
Abby and Libby's families have seen this huge outpouring of support from their community since the girls disappeared. We've seen these blue and purple ribbons all around Delphi, representing Abby and Libby's favorite colors. They've helped build a park honoring the girls in their hometown. And today they were at the courthouse to hear this verdict as residents express hope that Delphi can enter a new chapter.
I wish you guys all could have got to know them personally, the families, because they're so eachly unique, but so very kind, so very giving. There was a period in time when Becky was going through cancer, and many people did not know that. During that investigation, the 2-week period after the 2019 press conference, they asked the family and the communities not to talk about it, and that's during the time she was going through that. So that tells you the strength of this community and what they did for them.
So we did hear from some Delphi residents today, but this gag order in the case remains in place. So that means we did not hear from the families or investigators. State Police told us the gag order will remain in effect until Richard Allen is sentenced. We've seen how much this case has affected this small community. The girls, Abby and Libby, were last spotted at the Monon High Bridge Trail. And this area has changed so much since February of 2017. That infamous down the hill video captured on Libby German's cell phone gives you a really good idea of what it looked like back then. And now, trail security is a top priority. You can see new lights and cameras, all thanks to $1 million the city got from the state's Next Level Trails program. Plus, Delphi police have added a new position. The department has a Parks and Trails liaison officer who oversees the trail system across the city. And there are also improvements to the bridge itself. Back in 2022, crews installed new prefabricated decking and custom steel rails. You can find a new trailhead parking area and information kiosks. Now, if you'd like to get caught up on this trial and the investigation ahead of sentencing December 20th, you can watch our Delphi debrief shows over on WTHR+. Every weeknight of the trial, Bob Siegel, Emily Longnecker, and our legal experts broke down the major developments from the courtroom. You can stream this show on demand. WTHR+ is our free streaming app, and you can get it on Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and Roku.